India is taking on a much bigger adversary, and that is China. This 2+2 dialogue, China was discussed at length. Not just the aggression at the line of actual control in Ladakh, but Chinese aggression and expansionism in the Indo-Pacific. Because India and the United States of America, as Secretary of State Mike Pompeo pointed out, the biggest, the largest, the oldest democracies coming together, not just to ensure rule-based order, but also to ensure how they can benefit the rest of the world and counter China.
An uninhibited display of bonhomie between the world's oldest and largest democracies. India and United States held a high-level 2+2 dialogue between defense and foreign ministries. The major highlight of the meeting was the signing of the Strategic Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement, or BECA, for geospatial cooperation. This would give India access to American satellite imagery and precise locations for use in missile systems and other weapons.
Signing the BECA today, after signing the LEMOA in 2016 and COMCASA in 2018, is a significant achievement in that direction.
What dominated the bilateral meeting was the existing threat of expansionist China. The United States Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, openly called out the Chinese. He also paid tribute to Indian soldiers who died fighting Chinese troops in Galwan.
The challenge of defeating the pandemic that came from Wuhan also fed into our robust discussions about the Chinese Communist Party. Our leaders and our citizens see with increasing clarity that the CCP is no friend to democracy, the rule of law, transparency, nor to freedom of navigation, the foundation of a free and open and prosperous Indo-Pacific.
The Indo-Pacific region was a particular focus of our talks. We reiterated the importance of peace, stability, and prosperity for all countries in this region. As Raksha Mantri stated, this is possible only by upholding the rules-based international order, ensuring the freedom of navigation in international seas, promoting open connectivity, and respecting the territorial integrity and sovereignty of all states.
China reacted sharply to the statements. Beijing accused Washington of sowing the seeds of discord between China and other countries in the region. India and United States also took on Pakistan for its continuing support to terrorism.
Discussions also covered developments in our neighboring countries. We made clear that cross-border terrorism is completely unacceptable. On Afghanistan, India's stakes in its security and stability are evident, as is our willingness to contribute to international efforts to that end.
The top officials in Donald Trump's administration also called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi at his residence. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval was also present during the meet.
Strong message from India and the United States of America to China as also to Pakistan. The conversations between the two countries focused on strategic cooperation. BECA was signed, but also more importantly, apart from containing China, India focused on terrorism emanating from Pakistan. With VT journalist Ashwini Helen in New Delhi, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
Let me quickly bring in Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni into this discussion. General, BECA finally signed. Now, for an army on the ground, how does BECA help in a situation vis-a-vis China at the line of actual control?
Gaurav, thank you. Firstly, for reasons, forewarned is forearmed. So you have information sharing now, secured communication lines, military to military communications, bilateral talks in the language that both sides understand the best. We all speak English, so it's not very difficult for Americans to interact with the Indians. And imagine the accuracy of our missiles, the accuracy of our drones, navigational, entire satellite geospatial thing is available to you now, and that is what it is. And it's a reciprocal thing. It is not just being given by US to us. Even we can provide, because we also have the necessary details. And therefore, I would say these kind of agreements help each other to stand for one another. They're not just China-centric. They're also for counter-terrorism. They also talk about Afghanistan. They ensure the freedom of navigation. They are maritime agreements. And this has also resulted, like what you just said, Lemoa. Imagine a P-81 up there coming and refueling at Port Blair. You see the exercises when conducted in South China Sea,
Yes.
the entire fleet passing to Indian Ocean.
Yes. And in this, Geeta, China's not very comfortable. China's not very happy. China's accused US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo of trying to sow seeds of discontent in the region. China, or the Chinese Communist Party, as Mike Pompeo puts it, blames the United States. But it's actually China that's sowing seeds of discontent or trouble in this entire region.
And that is why there is this counter that's coming from India, United States of America, and other like-minded nations, Gaurav. The fact that China is reacting the manner in which it has been reacting is not just today. It has been happening ever since the announcement of Pompeo's visit, and just a day before Pompeo's visit, all the communications and the statements that were put out by Pompeo really rattled Beijing. We've seen opinions that have come out in Chinese mouthpieces. We've seen news reports that have come out on Chinese mouthpieces, all of them threatening India with consequences. And the visitor does not confine itself to India. He's also going to Sri Lanka, Indonesia. So the entire Indo-Pacific is an area of concern for Beijing. And Beijing has threatened to now act against this entire coalition that they're seeing come together. But this is inevitable. This was absolutely inevitable from the word go. And now we're seeing the military alliance come into take shape, Gaurav, and that's very important. That was also another thrust of the conversations that took place in the 2+2 today.
Oh, absolutely. Abhishek, the conversation about Quad, navies of India, Japan, Australia and the United States of America exercising together in the Bay of Bengal, in the Arabian Sea and in the Indo-Pacific. So that's a very strong signal, Abhishek, that you have four powerful democracies, economies and navies exercising together. But when Geeta says China warns of action, what does that mean on ground? What does it translate into, Abhishek?
Gaurav, there's no doubt that China figured very figure in the talks between India and US today. And, you know, the reason for that is whatever has been happening, the expansionism from the Chinese side, and most importantly, that the fact that the Indian defense minister, spoke about, you know, reckless aggression from the Chinese at the borders. And the US side also reiterated the fact that, 20 Indian soldiers were killed in Galwan. It clearly shows that two sides were on the same page. There were constant references to the Indo-Pacific region, free navigation in the international seas.
Yes.
So all this means that, you know,
Yes.
China's expansionism was a very, very key discussion in these talks
What
that took place
happens
between India and US
over the
today.
next 2 to 4 weeks? Okay, the next couple of weeks are going to be extremely significant. It's already started snowing in the higher reaches at the line of actual control. The temperature well below -20 in some places. And General Kulkarni, you've been Chief of Staff of the Fire and Fury Corps. You've actually walked many of those kilometers at the line of actual control. I want to understand from you, General Kulkarni, after this 2+2 dialogue, is the threat of Chinese action at the line of actual control, whether in Arunachal Pradesh or North Sikkim or the middle sector or Ladakh, is it more or is it now less, or does it remain the same through winters?
Gaurav, first and foremost, it's a question, it's our war, it's our battle, and it's us. We have to ensure that the LAC is maintained well and territorial integrity and sovereignty of the nation is ensured. Now, this is our job. Nobody else will come to our help at this point of time, and even hereinafter also. Having said that, now what really matters is that we get to have information. information, after all, knowledge is power. So just fill in the blanks, as I've always been saying so.
Yes.
Where the help and assistance come to us from the United States, geospatial, because you have to know, you get to know where exactly the deployment is, whether it is in the Indian Ocean, whether it's in the South China Sea, or it's across Ladakh, for that matter, because now we have input that the Chinese have concentrated at areas which are just about 80 kilometers opposite Demchok, another 60 kilometers opposite in Arunachal Pradesh near. So you have these kind of information that keep coming to you, and you share with each other in confidence and been able to do it. And as I've always mentioned, forewarned,
fair enough,
forearmed, and therefore you prevent the war because the elephant is in the room.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Age-old military saying you always want to know what's on the other side of the hill. And now India knows what's on the other side of the hill. As the general very rightly said, being forewarned is being forearmed to take effective countermeasures. I now want to shift focus to the other big story that we're tracking here on India First. A landmark notification by the Ministry of Home Affairs that says all Indian citizens can now buy property. They can buy land in the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir, in the union territories of Jammu and Kashmir, provided, of course, it's not agricultural land. A lot of reaction coming in. Former Chief Minister Omar Abdullah says J&K is being put on sale.
For decades, buying land in Jammu and Kashmir was only a dream for non-residents. A little over a year after repealing Article 370, the centre has now paved the way for any Indian to own a patch of land in the newly formed Union Territory. In a Gazette notification called Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir Reorganisation, 5th Order, 2020, the Ministry of Home Affairs laid new norms for land buying laws. As per the Gazette, one does not require a domicile or permanent resident certificate of the Union Territory to buy land in Jammu and Kashmir. Until now, only those who resided in Jammu and Kashmir could buy local land. Restrictions over owning agricultural land continues. The MHA's notification specifies that only farmers are allowed to buy agricultural land in the Union Territory. The centre's decision has divided opinion in the Union Territory.
It's a welcome move. It's towards integration. This had to be done. I mean, as far as employment is concerned, they came up with this domicile law. But as far as lands are concerned, I think better sense has prevailed on them, and they've not reintroduced the requirement of domiciliary or permanent resident certificate sort of things for purchasing lands in Jammu and Kashmir. This will pave a long way as far as integration of J&K with the rest of the country is concerned, and also development is concerned.
Major land portion, which was about 60% of the land, went away with the Union Territory of Ladakh. So what we are left with about 40% of landmass, which includes forests, hills, the terrain. So the amount of land bank available for the people of the state is too less.
Kashmiri parties have slammed centre's move, saying that they will fight against it. The members termed it as betrayal to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. But the centre sees it as a path for a Naya Kashmir.
जो अलगाववाद, आतंकवाद, भ्रष्टाचार, परिवारवाद, ये सारी चीजें यहाँ पर बढ़ी, उस पर एक लगाम लगने वाली। उमर अब्दुल्ला साहब जो कह रहे हैं कि ये जम्मू कश्मीर को बेच रहे हैं, ये बेच नहीं रहे हैं, ये जम्मू कश्मीर को भारत का अभिन्न अंग बनाया है।
Jammu and Kashmir has been completely put up for sale. They're hoodwinking the country. This is simply the agenda of the BJP and the RSS. They do not want a Muslim majority state or a Muslim majority territory within India. This is their whole model of Akhand Bharat.
It'll be very interesting to see how this issue is taken forward from here on, because it has the potential of being a major one in the polity of Jammu and Kashmir. With cameraman Tariq Loan, Shujaul Haq in Srinagar for India Today.
The question remains, in a secular country, why bother if some area is Muslim majority or Hindu majority? It's Indian majority that should matter. At least that is what any Indian would think. Before I let you go, I must remind you that today is Infantry Day. On this day, 27th of October in 1947, the Indian Army landed in Srinagar and saved Kashmir